everyone. You're listening to the voice of Weruche, the host of Conversations with Weruche. Today I have the pleasure of speaking with Dr. Chinyelu Oraedu, a Connecticut-based medical practitioner. Dr. Oraedu is an immigrant whose life journey has been documented in a book titled The Warrior Women's Project, a Sisterhood of Immigrant Women. This anthology shares stories of women from across the world who share one thing in common: finding a new place to call home. Their immigration stories are so passionate and real. Chinyelu, as we call her, says in the book, "I felt a deep loneliness in my heart during the first few months in America. Words cannot explain how much I missed my parents and siblings. I stayed home and watched the numerous soap operas on TV. I didn't work until I started my residency in 2006. I was not really part of the American system. I was, however, considered to be part of the infamous derogatory terminology used to describe immigrants fresh off the boat." Dr. Oraedu is board certified in internal medicine. She practices as a hospitalist in Stamford, Connecticut. She also sees patients in the outpatient setting at the pre-surgical optimization clinic affiliated with her hospital. She enjoys traveling, reading self-help books, and spending quality time with her family and friends. She's very passionate about teaching people about personal finance and hopes to empower women to maintain profitable portfolios. She's married to Oke, a skillful architect, and they're blessed with 3 beautiful children, twin boys Kobe and Dumeto, and daughter Kyra. Listen to our conversation. Thank you.
Pandemic, so she just felt this was a project that we needed to embark on with everything that was going on around the world. So we wrote our stories, and she compiled it and she edited. She did a lot of work towards, bringing this book to fruition. So I give her a lot of credit for that. So we're kind of all spread out across, different countries. Majority are here in the U.S., but we have people who live in Canada, and Pat, she lives out in New Zealand, and but the commonality is immigration from different countries and different stories. I mean, the stories are really very compelling, inspirational. There is something for everybody, even for the non-immigrant. That's what I tell my colleagues at work. Because everybody has an immigrant experience. Sometimes you find yourself somewhere that you feel foreign. You feel like you don't need to be here. I feel like, this is somewhere that you should, you should get out of the, that space right away because of the foreign feeling that you just cannot fit in. And it brings you right back to, when people emigrate to a different country, their experiences. And how they overcome and thrive and put in the hard work and emerge on the other side, successful, victorious, or whatever adjective you can use to describe success. So that was why this, she thought about this. She's a writer. She's written a couple of other books.
Awesome.
About racism and teen suicide. She's also very, very big on teen suicide. Okay.
That's awesome. Now, tell us about your unique contribution. What was your story about? Like, what angle did you focus on in your story?
So for me, I talked more about my tenacious, not just personality. It's an innate attribute that I feel I do have, or I know that I have. So I talked about it coming from Nigeria and being in America, and sometimes you feel like you're overwhelmed. Everything you feel like
Yeah.
Because coming from Nigeria, the way you were raised, if I may just start from the very beginning. You were raised in a very nuclear. You have a large family of cousins and all that, but your parents paid so much attention. You were bred and you were bothered and you went to good schools. You went into the university, so you consider yourself top notch. You consider yourself that you have everything it takes to to face the world, which is true.
Mm-hmm.
But when you come to America, then you got to deal with the issue of, that you're black, that, you have an accent, then you deal with the fact that it's like the English language you've been speaking your whole life, you're going to relearn how to speak it again, because of, the American way, the British, we're kind of, British, more like, in terms of, English and books and all that. So,
correct.
So it can be overwhelming and challenging for a lot of people, but when you decide to push down all those barriers and go out there and keep forging ahead, because you know that you're here to stay. This is your new country. This is your you're raising children here. You got to be part of the system.
Correct.
So that is my own angle in this book. And of course, the challenge is when you got to deal with stuff like I was writing in the book. When you plan to immigrate, you got to carry 2 luggage. 23 kg. You're like, come on, what do I take and what do I leave behind? So, these are, it's minor challenges, but in the bigger picture, when you start to miss certain items that you don't have with you, it becomes, a huge void, for you. I wish I came with that picture or that frame or that I got from this special friend of mine, so, and then you talk about, coming here, you got to figure out how to deal with your hair. Which has never really been a problem for you. But so, everybody's immigrant story is different. People, write about, despair and, heartbreak and disappointment. But I think the finality is, and also the commonality is that you persevered, you continued fighting, you continued pushing through, and at the end, you overcame some of the challenges. Maybe not all of them. Correct. But you're already on the right path towards, you're far away from where you started from. That's the most important thing. And you're still making progress. So,
This is great. This is great. Great response, by the way. Especially coming from you who has a good experience as a professional in America. And so you find that when you are more educated or you're more professional, you're sort of shielded from certain, immigrant experiences, so to speak, because it's almost like you've proven yourself already. And so people could actually look at you and say, oh, you're more privileged actually, being an immigrant, because again, like with you, you're a doctor, and so you're exposed to a lot of different people that and so I'm tying that to the whole idea, I understand, by why you guys came together to put the book together, because within a certain community, you might be the lone voice, but together with these women who have similar experiences, or the commonality or the union is the fact that you are treated like the other, regardless of your socioeconomic status or your education and that kind of thing. So that's great. And it ties into me wanting to interview you.
There's something to say. If I was just, interrupt you a little bit.
It's okay.
Doing this book and, Googling out so many things and what people have said, I just saw this, it's a proverb, and actually it's an African proverb. Probably in Igbo I can, understand it more. But in English it says that if you want to go fast, you should go alone.
Correct.
You want to get it done. I'm done. I'm out. I'm up to something else. But if you want to go far,
go together.
You have to go together.
That's correct.
So I think that is the concept of this book, because everybody comes from a different angle and different, voice and different, situation. But the commonality is, this is your experience.
Correct.
It may not be as horrid or whatever as your own or horrendous or whatever, but that is the way you felt at that time.
Correct.
And somebody else can relate to it. Okay.
Correct.
Yeah. So that was why I just jumped in and said, I have to be part of it.
You have to be a part of it. That's awesome. Tell me about your experience in Connecticut. What are you involved in? I know we had a conversation once about volunteer work and that kind of thing. So far, what has it been like for you finding these opportunities, getting involved in your local community, even with your kids? And tell me about your contribution or your involvement or experience.
So, so far, the thing about, like I said, when you start to unwind from the crazy life of acclimatization, or getting used to a new environment. Because at some point you can't be all wired up all the time.
Correct.
So when you start to unwind and start to taking time to smell the roses and get to know people around you. I mean, for me, my kids are very involved in the arts. My kids, musicians in the orchestra in the Greater Connecticut, youth orchestra. I mean, they do some sporting activities, but they're more artsy because my husband has a background in that. He's an architect.
That's awesome.
So I volunteer with the GCTYO, the Greater Connecticut Youth Orchestra.
Awesome.
I do that, and through my church, we've been involved in Habitat for Humanity. My husband, he's done that with my kids, prior to COVID, because COVID changed everything.
Of course.
And also, within the female physician in Connecticut, I try to, with the vaccination, I did sign up for that. Well, before, I guess now it's not really an issue because there's now more vaccines than people who want to get it. So, the people who were employed can handle the volume, so they don't really need volunteer efforts now. Also, within I do work in Stanford. I do work with there's a female. I'm very passionate about this group of women too. Women overcoming addiction.
Okay.
Women that, because I think when you empower a woman, and no offense to men, but no offense to men. I think we need men and women in society. Everybody has their role. Correct. But coming to America, one of the it's so glaring. You just have to you have to get into that headspace or mind space or whatever, the role of a woman in a family. It's in every part of the world, but I think in America is very unique because a woman plays a role in the education of a child, in the social development of the child. And when you see women that are facing addiction, when I see women that are facing addiction, it really bothers me. Where are their children? Correct. Where is the rest of the family? So it's really something I started even by church, I know they have Liberation House in Stanford, but in Connecticut, around the Bridgeport area, there's another women's program that I involve with. As a charity, I donate, to them. So I would like them to be part of this whole immigration thing because, we're planning to do like a book launch. We're doing it regionally all over the U.S. And it's, those women, I will invite one or two of them to be part of the event and contribute. It's really good to lift people up, especially when they're down. Especially when they're down, you should because when you collectively when you do the lifting, when you encourage people to do better, it's better for society as a whole. That woman can go home and lift up somebody else and help her children, and so I really do. I like that. That's an attribute that I have. I just find that I just like to reach out to see how I can help people. And even my children, I as they're getting older, like my oldest kid is in high school now, 9th grade. I do encourage them to do a lot of community service. Correct. Help people. I think there should be a lot of emphasis on young people doing stuff that you just have no benefit except that you're uplifting somebody else. It's not all about just the money you're going to get out of it, the financial whatever, but the personal fulfillment. And I've actually put it in that book that it is something I will teach my children. I will continue to teach them till they live a life of service.
That's awesome. Now, what's the title of the book?
So the book is called The Warrior Women Project. Okay. It was a name we actually collectively picked out because when you think about woman and you think about warrior, you think about somebody who is, first of all, strong, somebody who is brave, somebody who is going out there to fight. You can call it a battle, but the battle is going to be, the decision to immigrate to a different country and start all over. For some people, it was, I'm really very thankful that in as much I had obstacles to overcome, it was more like I had to take a lot of exams to get back into the system. For some people, it's real starting over. It's like everything you know from your home country, you have to leave it and start afresh. Awesome. So it's a battle. It's a huge obstacle to overcome. So that was how we came about the name, and we called it The Warrior. Yeah. So
Warrior, yeah. And can you provide us with a copy of the book, because we would need to do a follow-up conversation, and also for us to like speak with some of the writers, not all of them obviously, because because of the time that's involved, but at least one or two, just to get their perspectives, get a different perspective, and have them talk about their experiences as well. Especially the person who made this possible. How can that be arranged?
Not a problem. I can reach out to her, and we can decide. We can set that up. I mean, definitely before August 31st.
Okay.
Yeah,
that would be great.
That would be nice for her to.
Yeah. Because,
she's gonna come. Some of the girls, because I'm the only one in the Northeast.
Okay.
Okay, maybe I think somebody else in New York. I take it back. In New Jersey, probably.
Yeah. What's happening in August?
So in August, on August 21st, which is a Saturday, I am planning to do a book launch.
Okay.
I mean, it's a book launch for the Warrior Women Project.
Okay.
Because we're all like regional, and some people still have COVID, related concerns about travel and meeting in a group. We're doing it regionally. Some people live in North Carolina, in Charlotte, and then in San Antonio.
Okay.
But I am the only one around this area, so some of the girls will come. They'll show that. Yeah. Okay. So the book launch, we're just gonna introduce the book. It's gonna be an event for 3 or 4 hours.
Okay.
We introduce the book to the Connecticut community. Men, women in the audience. We'll all have a dialogue. It could be about immigration, about women issues, being a physician, health topics that relate to women and children. I created it as a space where people can come, and it's more like a mixer.
Okay.
It's more like a mixer. People can, it's just going to be me, the book, some of the girls, and then other people in the group. And you, Weruché, too. You're very much invited, and we just want to see how we can, moving forward, channel the energy from, especially considering everything that has happened since the past few months, how we can, get people to come together in Connecticut. I mean, we don't have a large community in Connecticut. So I think it's very pertinent that we all, come together. It's a mixer book launch. Very
awesome.
People can, get to know one another on a professional, maybe personal level, depends on how you take your friendships. Yeah,
that's awesome. So let's do this. So we will have a subsequent conversations, especially as it gets closer to the book launch, just as a way to let people know some more about the book and the unique stories and the people who came together to produce this work of art. It's important that for me, delving into the minds of people is actually key to understanding, or appreciating the work that was done. And so understanding, because everyone has a different, like you said earlier, everyone has a different story, has a different experience, some good, some not so good. And hearing them tell their stories, or what motivates them, or even what motivated them to be a part of the project is essential. It's just, you just make a heart and soul connection with people that way. And so I think that it's important that we continue these conversations. I'm glad that you contributed in your way by telling your story. The story of the immigrants, or the immigrant woman, especially, is an ongoing story. There's no end to it. It's an everyday story. And considering the struggles, I would say that immigrants have continued to face, and especially with the past COVID year in view, it's important that we get louder about telling these stories. And so for us, as when you presented it was a great angle for us as well, because that's what we're about, that's who we are. We're a bunch of immigrant women from across the diaspora that have made, that continue to make this continue to tell our stories, basically, and continue to do work that impacts immigrants. And so this is a great project. I'm really happy to, speak with you. I'd like to know a little more about what your work is as a doctor. Tell us about you as a physician, what your interests are, how you spend your time, what you do at home, or, what your family makeup is, and all of that. So we just get a sense of who you are as Chinyelu.
Chinyelu is, if I talk about myself in the third person. So pretty much I work at Stanford Hospital. I practice as an inpatient. I take care of patients in the hospital.
Okay.
In the inpatient setting. So in acute setting, you're coming, you're very sick, you're very scared, vulnerable. I take care of you. It has been a very, very. I can't even. As an immigrant, I think my patients have taught me the best and the most about both myself and my journey in this country. I tell people all the time, life is a continuous learning process. I could be with a patient and, we're talking about something and I start asking all the questions and the patient, I said, oh my God, this is too much. I got to just go Google it. So I just take 2 minutes, I step out, I come back, and I'm empowered because I'm a better doctor when I know.
Of course.
When I know your pain, I'm a better doctor. So, so that has been an angle that I really do thank a lot of my patients for, and especially when they ask me, do you have children? A lot of advice, raising children, retirement from that interaction with them. So, awesome. I put in my time in the full inpatient setting. I do outpatient too because I do. And I'm also very passionate about, outpatient medicine in the pre-operative setting, when the patient is going for surgery and he needs to see a doctor before they can proceed. So we have that clinic in Stanford Hospital, but it's managed by it's under the hospital, Stanford Health.
Okay.
So awesome. I work there, but I see healthy people. When you see people there, they're pretty healthy. They just need you to say that they're okay. It's okay for them to go to surgery. So that's some part of medicine I really like because
awesome.
You're very impactful when people are healthy and very upbeat. You can impact them. When they're sick, they're very vulnerable and they're terrified. So being in the outpatient is really for me very rewarding because I can now talk to you about other things, or your weight, your food, and you're more receptive to that. Yeah. So
good.
Besides that, I think I'm running too fast, but
no, that's okay.
But it's just something when I talk about what I do at my job, it's very exciting to me, but besides being a doctor, I like people. I like to, I like my friends, I love my family. I'm a second child. I'm a second child in a family of, I have 5 other siblings.
Okay.
I have one brother, I have a sister who's also a doctor, my big sister, another sister who's a doctor, my brother is a doctor. We do have a couple of, doctors in the family. So, family conversation is a little bit about, a lot of, other things, medicine and,
Where did you grow up?
Yeah. But I grew up in Enugu. My life as a child is also very interesting too. Besides my parents were students in Birmingham,
nice,
in United Kingdom, and that was where I was born.
Nice.
So I was born in Birmingham. Also, my elder sister. My parents came back to Nigeria. At the time, Nigeria was going through the oil boom.
Awesome.
In the 70s, because at that time they encouraged all their citizens to come home. So there was like a mass return. People went back home, and my father took up a job at University of Nigeria, Nsukka. So I spent a lot of my formative years, elementary school in Nsukka, and that was actually from there I went to secondary school. I went to Unity School and went to Folonicha. Okay. I finished from Onitsha, and I went to UNN for my medical school. So I spent my formative years in Nsukka, and then at some point my parents moved to Enugu. and then I continued, so I left, I came to America from, so I have like friends spread out in
across
different
the country,
locations. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. So that's awesome.
That's
awesome. What's your favorite thing to do in Connecticut?
Oh my God, fun. I love hiking. Nice. I mean, I like just 5 mile. The other day with my girlfriend. Mm-hmm. Especially when there's too many people on the trails because you keep bumping into everybody. Mm-hmm. But I do like going out. There's this beautiful trail, Satanic in Monroe. I love it.
Love it.
You walk for miles and miles and miles. Yeah.
That's awesome. So that's awesome. That's What is your favorite quote? What, sort of something you live by that, guides you daily? What would you?
I'll say that, I say this all the time. Mm-hmm. Every day when I wake up, every morning when I wake up in the morning, mm-hmm. I need 3 things. Mm-hmm. 3 things. I always have, I look up to something, mm-hmm. and because I'm a person of faith, I'm a Christian, I look up to God. Good. I'm very thankful. Mm-hmm. But I don't really go on my knees to pray, but I am extremely very thankful. Mm-hmm. And I always have something to look forward to.
Awesome.
Whether I'm looking forward to having the best day mm-hmm. with at my job, with my kids, or people I'm going to meet. Mm-hmm. And I always have something I'm chasing. Mm-hmm. Every single day. Mm-hmm. And what I'm chasing is, whether it's my superhero, mm-hmm. the next best thing I can be, mm-hmm. or it's the simple things I need to do to get my life in order.
Awesome.
Get my room. So these are like, I put it in the book too. There's a lot of mm-hmm. here and there nuggets of inspirational quotes, mm-hmm. in the book, not just from me, from all the girls, because I read the manuscript for almost all of them. The stories are amazing. People have gone through. Mm-hmm. People have gone through like the whole grind and everything.
Adversities, yeah.
It's mm-hmm. So a lot of inspirational quotes. Yeah. So that is what I would say is what I live by, like awesome. My mantra. Mm-hmm. I always need to be chasing something. I like to be busy. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. That's awesome. That's awesome. Yay! This has been a great conversation. Again, we're gonna have a follow-up just because you can't tell the story in one sitting. It's something that's ongoing. It'll be great to, speak with the other ladies and just continue this awareness about not only the needs of immigrants, but their right to thrive in their new location. We call immigrants new Americans, which indeed that's what they are. Sometimes new Americans can range from people who just literally stepped off the plane or people who've been here 30 years. And their stories are important. I was in a conversation with, I'm trying to remember which of the Congress people, but he was interested in the stories of immigrants because he is American, and he was more about like the fact that Americans do not know enough about immigrants or the immigrant story. And he was on the campaign trail, he was door knocking, and he, encountered an immigrant lady, and he said that was sort of like the highlight of his entire campaign because she was, they exchanged stories about their life, and for him that was huge because he hadn't encountered an immigrant in that manner before. Clearly, America needs more stories of the immigrants and not just stories of war, strife, and all of that. More stories of immigrants thriving and surviving in their new location. So this is really great that you took the time to share a piece of yourself with us on the podcast and even in the book, and that's really awesome. Thank you for doing this. And is there anything you want to add to what's been said?
I just want to just put it out there that we do have a website,
okay,
which is www.warriorwomenproject.com.
Awesome.
And over there, we're just putting together, the bios of all the women and what we represent, and the proceeds from the book will benefit Girl Foundation, Malala Fund,
Okay.
The Malala Fund, will give them part of the proceeds, and some other girl charities. We're very we would like to, empower so that girls can thrive, because girls become women, and it's very important to start the process when they're pretty young, especially through education, through technological empowerment. Girls in IT, engineering, and girls in broadcasting, in the arts, and in everything. So that's part of the premise for writing this book too, so that every girl can dream, and not just dream big.
Awesome. Yeah. That's great.
So I just wanted to put it out there. And of course, all the ladies, we all have different platforms and different interests that we're putting out and trying to promote through this book. For me, being a physician, I'm very passionate about health and wellness.
Okay.
Not just because I lost a lot of weight during the pandemic, but I have to do that. But the pandemic, provided an avenue, because my husband was home, the kids were home, and I found out that I had more time to do myself.
Yeah.
So I just started, and I had this amazing life coach. I cannot. I don't even know how to put this out here, but the role of an accountability coach in everybody's life.
Correct.
Everybody's life. This lady was remote in Lagos. She wasn't even here with me. But I could hear her voice in my head all the time.
Oh.
All the time, she's like, Chi, I need you to give me 15,000 steps today. I need you to give me 17,000 steps. I tell you, there's no way you can do 17,000 steps if you don't work out.
That's true.
That was what I needed, and she is amazing. Lizzie Weight Watchers. Yeah, so it's just part of the things that happened within this.
What did you call her?
Lizzie Weight Watchers.
Okay.
Yeah, she's on Instagram now, and she's on TV in Nigeria. She's blowing out. She has clients everywhere in the US. I've sent her a lot of clients. So it just tells you that from time to time we all need that push. We need that friend or that coach or somebody that cheers you on and gets you to be the best version of yourself.
Correct.
If I may say, yeah.
Correct. That's awesome. Yeah. That's really awesome. So let's do more of this. Let's get involved in the community. Let's talk more about the immigrant women and just keep us updated and let us know. Thank you, Dr. Chinyelu, for that candid account of your journey. Thank you, listeners. Please visit www.thewarriorwomenproject.com. Thank you for listening. In our next episode, we'll be discussing with Dr. Cynthia Agumanu McCulliver as we continue this conversation about women in diaspora, immigrant women, and the immigrant experience. Thank you.